related to numbers in the media today. So for example, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the one I got, is supposed to be 65% effective. So that means there's a 65% chance that I will not have COVID after a serious exposure. And the baseline for what does it mean to be a serious exposure is, were you within 6 feet of somebody that has COVID for more than 15 minutes? If that's the case, you've had a serious exposure, and you probably should quarantine. Also, with the Johnson & Johnson, it's 100% chance so far that if you get COVID, right, so that 35% chance of getting it, you won't have a serious case. And usually the idea of a serious case is hospitalization. So I've been trying to get my mom to get the vaccine. My mom's 75. I'm like, Mom, just get it, please, right? It is important. And she kept putting it off and putting it off. Finally, she made an appointment. She got the Johnson & Johnson one. She was supposed to get it last week, but then all this data comes out about the chance of a woman having a blood clot, right? So there was this discovery that there's a chance of women 16 to, I think it was 16 to 30 was the age range they were looking at. I could be wrong about the 30, but maybe it's 40. Getting a blood clot disorder, and after they had the vaccine. So she says, there's no way I'm getting it. I don't want to get a blood clot. And if we look at the data from that, there was literally a 1 in a million chance. There were 6 women that were diagnosed with this disorder within a week of having the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, out of 7 million people that had received the J&J vaccine so far. So this one right here was a 1 in a million chance. So it was pretty unlikely. Yeah, but okay, so she has a 0% chance. Yeah, she doesn't get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. There's no way she's going to get a blood clot because of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. But there could be something else that could, throw her into getting a blood clot. Some other situation happens. There's a lot of, variation out there in terms of things that can happen to different people. But then, compare that to the chance of her getting COVID and dying from COVID. It's higher than 1 in a million. So I was trying to convince her of that. I sort of failed, but then I just got her to get a different vaccine. Okay, let's go get the Moderna vaccine then, Mom. Okay, we got this covered. So a lot of times we hear these numbers in the media, and when we hear them, they are not directly to everybody, right? It's not 65% of everybody won't have a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. A serious exposure. It's people have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So whenever one probability is based on some other situation, that's called conditional probability. And that's the biggest idea this week that I want to get to. So this is my goal for the week. Biggest idea in probability is the idea of conditional probabilities. And a conditional probability is a probability that's based on some other information. So some other information. Oops, button. And then I'm going to give you guys a survey because I'm curious what you think about something. Sorry, my Zoom buttons are conflicting with my whiteboard buttons. One in 6 deaths are due to COVID-19. Right? Does that mean you have a 1 in 6 chance of dying from COVID? No. If you died, there's a 1 in 6 chance it was because of COVID. So interpreting these kinds of probabilities are important, right? So this is probability of having COVID if we know you're dead. And we'll look at a whole bunch of different situations where we throw some other knowledge into the situation and see how that changes the probability. Before we do that, I'm going to have y'all take a survey for me. Get it up here. This one first. Okay. All right. Survey number 1. So I'm putting this into the chat. I'm going to show it on the screen. So with the ideas of dying, there are some top 4 ways men, women, people die. Intentional injuries, COVID-19 lately, heart disease, cancer. So don't do any research, just off the top of your head. I just want to know what you think about this one. So here I'm asking about leading causes of death for females. And so just what's your best guess at what the leading cause is in the US for females? So if you could just take a moment, click that. If you know what it is, click it, right? Some people just know, hey, I know it's this. Other people not. So this is something my wife quizzed me on recently, and I got it wrong. And she gave me a lecture about why it's important I get it right, because we have daughters, and I know lots of females. So if you could, again, choose what you think the best one is here for the leading cause, and then just let me know whether you're male or female. We'll take a look at that data later. It's not as important. And I made both of these required, so please just be honest. It's anonymous. And then I'm going to switch to my edit version. Let's see if anyone's taken it yet. We have 10 people that took it so far. How many people are in the audience today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, thank you all for doing this with me. Okay, so we have, so far, it's believed that number 1 is cancer, with the runner-up being heart disease, and then COVID and unintentional injuries aren't even in there. Cool. And the people in the audience were mostly female, with some males. Awesome. So I am going to actually stop this recording for people watching this in the future.